Our next panel discussion is entitled Investing in Hemp Opportunities. And with that being said, our moderator for our panel of Investing in Hemp Opportunities is Stephen Cutter, who's the CEO of Hemp for Future. He'll be joining us today on this panel with Christopher Freeman, who is the CEO of Basic Human Needs, David Abaskis, I apologize if I mispronounced the last name, who's the CEO of Titan Bioplastics, as well as Miriam Davidacic, and I apologize if I mispronounced the last name, who's the CEO of Ashim Ventures. Now, before we begin, Stephen Cutter will be introducing the panelists and allow them to talk. But let me tell you a little background about Stephen Cutter, the CEO of Hemp for Future. He is a lifelong entrepreneur. Stephen has a passion for sustainable solutions and is using hemp as a platform to create regenerative economics for sustainable developments. Stephen has started and operated multiple businesses and has a niche in connecting leaders and pioneers in many different sectors. Stephen has traveled the world all over the last several years with a mission to find change makers and sustainable solutions that will help out not only the United States, but also the world economy. Stephen has attended the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. He's attended the Global Climate Summit in San Francisco, as well as the UN General Assembly in search of these type of solutions that I just mentioned. Hemp for Future is a public benefit corporation, and its goal is to improve the health of the land, provide abundance to the people, and innovate new products in this incredible developing hemp industry. Hemp for the Future has put together a team of hemp experts to help guide communities with the proper education, finance, insurance, equipment, tools, legal assistance, processing and logistics, and resources. They do all that to help plant, cultivate, and process hemp in the cooperative fashion. Stephen Cutter, I welcome you to the stage.
Cheers. Thanks for that intro, David. And yeah, it's been, I'll tell a little bit about my story and what I've been building, like you mentioned. The framework on how to scale the industrial hemp industry. It's been illegal to grow the plant for 90 years, and there's no manufacturing, there's no processes, there's no SOPs. And so we're going to be talking today on how we can scale the hemp industry as a part of a collective. There's about 30 different industries inside of hemp. And each one has its own ocean. So we've been collecting change makers and pioneers and innovators in all these spaces to help scale the industry that will benefit the planet and the environment first. So a big passion of mine is regenerative practices. And so we're going to be talking today about investment opportunities and vehicles. We'll be talking about a hemp bond, how you can raise a hemp sustainable development goal bond, which hasn't been done yet. There'll be blockchain options that will be similar as the bond to invest in these collectives. And then we have Christopher Freeman that will be talking about opportunity zones and how we can create basically majority of the basic human need products in regional development to help improve the economy, the ecology, and the health of the people. And then we'll talk with Miriam on hemp super funds and how we create different measurements and risk management tracking to make sure that we are impactful with our investments, not just have a good return. And then we have David Abacassis, who's one of the founders of Titan Bioplastics, and he's big in the material science, bioplastics, nanotechnology, and incubators. So we'll go ahead and start off with Chris. Chris and I got connected probably about 6 months ago, and when they told me about their opportunity zone plans, and I said, this is perfect for hemp. We should work together and help innovate and bring these hemp opportunity zones online. So with that being said, Chris, why don't you go ahead and give a little bit of background on yourself, and then we'll dive into some questions on how the opportunity zone fund functions.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, and I love being around this type of energy that's creating sustainability for the future. My background is a blessed given talent to be able to draw and visualize and create. I was born with that. I took that creativity and got my degree from Savannah College of Art and Design in illustration and design. And through illustration and design, after I graduated, went full force into the market as an entrepreneur and as a business person, getting into a wide variety of markets and developing products, marketing, manufacturing, creative design for other companies. At the same time, developing a lot of my own products. Been in that business for about 20, 25 years, backed into national, international trade, and got to the point where my career and my creative background ball that all up in a ball and end up creating BHN Basic Human Needs Company, which the foundation is from trade and international trade, and had a real good focus on commodities, design and creativity to create new products for the future, create new products for the world.
Great, great. And when we met, I thought hemp would fit perfect into the opportunity zones and what you guys have been building. And when you can grow the plant locally and you can process and manufacture it, you really can create a prototype for circular economic principles. So let's go over a couple of questions here. So I'm sure a lot of the audience is familiar with opportunity zone funds. And I don't think a lot of people, I don't know if anyone's really doing a hemp opportunity zone. So let's go over a little bit of kind of what the Opportunity Zone Fund is asking for and how some of that functions. So I know we're looking to raise around 30 million to do the first Opportunity Zone Fund around this regional development with hemp. And the plan is to have this be kind of a template and you can do in new regions. So talk a little bit about how the funds will be deployed in the opportunity zones around the hemp and manufacturing components.
Well, let me back up and say one thing, Steve, and then I'll come back up to that. Let me explain what BHN is and why we're going into the opportunity zones and how this kind of makes sense to everybody. Again, BHN Basic Human Needs, we're a design company, but our focus is on building materials, non-perishable foods, clothing, hemp paper products, medical and hygiene products. And that's our focus. Our whole platform is built around that particular focus. And how I connected with Stephen is we want to invest and scale those products into a mainstream retail. We're a brand company, our own brand company, creating new retails for a hybrid retail for the market, brick and mortar and global e-commerce. So as a design company, we're the bridge for raw new hemp materials, creating new markets with these new fibers, anything that you can develop. Our company create, redesign these products, find this market for it, and through our platform, and from that, how we taking that whole concept of basic human needs, hybrid retail, manufacturing, stocking, warehousing, all glued together with blockchain technology. So we're taking that ball of energy and carrying it to opportunity zones. If you don't know what opportunity zones, it's pretty much an economic desert. There's nothing there but people, unfortunately. And so what we want to do is we want to bring the water. We want to be the oasis for that. And we want to take the name off of opportunity zones and turn it back into America. They bordered it and gave it a name. We got to erase that, or it's going to continue to grow and grow. So instead of carrying basic human needs to the actual retail market, that's a perfect market for us because we have the economic platform of everything that we need. Not everything they need, but we know we have the basics for that. So, so to take that, we're creating, me and Steve have a joint partnership between here and Puerto Rico to create a fund to go in and put our economic plan into these opportunity zones. There's over 8,000 opportunity zones across America, which is sad. That's very sad. But what we're trying to do is not just put our economic plan just in one place. We're trying to put the BHN economic plan across the United States simultaneously and Puerto Rico at the same time. So we're going in for we're going in for a big sustainable push to make this change. We have education and everything.
Love it. Yeah, and everything that we talk about and how hemp can play a role, it really can create a whole circular economy. And that being said, we'll move on to Miriam. I sometimes introduce Miriam as Miss Regenerative and Captain Benefit Corp. So she's all about tracking the impacts and benefiting the people and the planet. And she's creating innovative new tools on how to invest into hemp. And she's in Serbia, and we actually got connected through a blockchain colleague with a Regen Network who tracks the impact around regenerative agriculture. Miriam, can you please give a little background, and then we'll go into some Russian.
Absolutely. So I'm Miriam Davidovich, Miriam Rachel Shields Davidovich, long name, but that's us Israelis for you. So I'm actually indigenous to Israel. So my family is from Israel, but we ended up here in Serbia historically, and in Portugal, and all over the world. And I think my impact investing trajectory was actually solidified because I went home first. So Hemp Ventures is headquartered in Israel, and we manage a portfolio of assets, including direct investments in technology, blockchain, and impact verification, impact measurement and management software, as well as a portfolio of real assets, so real estate and agriculture and regenerative agricultural products, as well as food processing and retail. And that really was just, the process of getting there was really ultimately about figuring out myself and then mirroring that across my investment portfolio, so that the way I see what matters to me, what my values are, what I'm willing to do to protect those values, that ended up being my way of looking at how I pick and choose investments and how I decide which investments are going to be successful and which ones aren't. Because when we get into the process of due diligence, or we get into the process of meeting investor expectations, we really have to be very self-aware, right? So the entrepreneur and the investor really needs to understand who they are, why they do what they do, how it makes money, have their numbers gone through again and again and again for as long as it takes for this to actually be able to become a viable business. Because if we talk about regeneration, right, the regenerative economy, we talk about creating vitality, right? So vitality across the economic, social, and environmental space. And if one of those pieces is missing, then we are not regenerating, right? So we need to really be very self-aware about the way that we do business as well, the way we develop our businesses, the way we communicate about those businesses, what our value proposition is. And that's ultimately the foundation of Hemp, is really just self-awareness, empowering our team so that they can actually lead in their own lives, so that they can establish for themselves who they want to be and where, and then they're more efficient at leading across the global network. And that's how we ended up scaling to 5, 6, 7 different countries, because we empowered the individual to make their own decisions. And that's ultimately what investors need to do too, is actually capacity build, work with their investees, empower them, show them, give them tools, and tell them, this is what you need to do. Make up your mind, figure out exactly what you want, go out there and do it, and be, the best you, not the best company, the best you. Show what makes you unique and make money doing that. So there's a little bit of an intro with a little bit of due diligence thrown in, and go for it. There's some questions at me.
Well, great. No, and I love everything you're doing. And one of the things really cool about the hemp space and the regenerative space is it's really about the power of the collective. Once you get to regenerative economics and regenerative practices, you really see people wanting to do what's best for the planet. And, hemp is one of the best plants for that. And I think if it's all working together, really can scale this faster. So I really appreciate all your work and just to know you. So I guess I'd like to talk about a little bit about the fund and kind of what your focuses are going to be with the fund. I know regenerative is a part of it, and impact measurements, but what do you guys look for as far as companies and things to invest into, and what are some of the criteria?
Absolutely. So let me just start out by, as much as I believe in the power of the collective to make change in the world and make the world a better place, I do not necessarily believe in the power of the collective to make money. So I do believe in individual rights, data privacy, proper healthy boundaries between businesses as well, right? Because when we set up contracts and we set up our business relationships, we have to prepare for an exit, right? And everybody knows that, but it's almost like just being very self-aware to prepare for your divorce before you get married, right? Potentially to set up those proper boundaries. And how does that relate to an investment fund? So we are launching a fund of funds at Rocham for the purpose of investing across 3 different parallels: impact technology, innovation and infrastructure, and regenerative organic agriculture. And then we have those 3 that then trickle down, and we then create separate investment vehicles, separate smaller funds with separate individual areas of focus. And one of them includes hemp, includes medical cannabis, but it's primarily technology driven because we're not only trading product anymore, we're actually trading data, right? We're trading information, protected, verified, secured information about where the product came from, how it was, whether it met regulatory requirements, right? And how that process actually happened, right? And what types of products were used as that hemp was being grown. If they claim to be organic, are they really organic? Where's their certificate? If I have to wait 2 weeks to see a member's certificate and I'm trying to trade hemp, that slows down my business. If I have to wait to go through a due diligence process in 6 months, that slows down my ability to deploy capital quicker and more efficiently. So what are we actually doing? What problem are we solving? We are integrating impact data with financial performance, and we're scaling that across a range of industries and looking for investees that are willing to take on that challenge of digitizing their data in order to increase their efficiency, in order to boost their competitive strategy. Because ultimately, when we talk about sustainability, we need to also think about financial sustainability, but we also don't want to keep things the same, because sustainability can mean keeping things the same as well. We're regenerating something that hasn't worked. Okay, so we're changing something about something that doesn't work. Well, why are we still focusing on the problem? What's the solution? What are we actually doing? If we talk about creating an impact, we've got to minimize the negative, increase the positive impacts. Okay, great. That's a strategy. It's a portfolio management strategy. That's what it is. So we're investing strategically to manage our portfolios more effectively. But what are we doing? So it's super important for companies to get as clear and specific as possible on what benefit are they creating? Who are you doing this good for? Whose lives are you changing? And can you get that information from them? Can they verify it? Or is it just going to be you filing an impact report? Is it just going to be you publishing your own internal impact report? Where did the information come from? Is it stakeholder verified? Did it actually happen? Right? So we really just need to increase our level of consciousness and just understand that if we're making claims about making the world a better place for whom? How? What kinds of specific benefits are we creating? And then how does that make money? Right? And then how can we prove it faster, more efficiently, to create competitive advantage, to be aligned with market needs, not to just be driven by our own products and our own solutions, because we might think we're solving a problem, but who are we solving a problem for? How many people can agree that we're solving that problem for them, right? And so ultimately, that's what we're investing for, is solving problems, right?
Awesome.
And we've got to get very clear on what exactly are we solving.
And I think one of the things you guys are also solving too is you're investing into innovation, the impact, and regenerative agriculture, but you're also developing a supply, an ecosystem, a market exchange for hemp products. So a lot of companies don't focus on the sales; they focus on creating the company. And so I really like how you guys are creating a platform as well for hemp products to be able to sell and be traded and have to be impact verified. So that's a big component that I think everyone in the CBD space could take a page from over the last couple of years. So I really like everything you put together, and it's kind of a full shop for hemp companies to come in and really benefit. And then I'll move on to David, because we only have about 7 minutes left here. And the innovation part is a lot of where I like to spend my time and focus. And it almost seems endless of what hemp can do and benefit the planet. And this is my good friend David Abacassis, and he's probably one of the top thinking green scientists in the world in bioplastics, nanotechnology, energy, waste energy, you name it. And David, please give yourself a quick introduction
Sure.
on some of your
I
work.
just want to emphasize that while I'm the lead entrepreneur in most of the businesses with co-partners, I have very competent business executives that I work with. I'm always the technical director for the company. So the CEO for Titan Bioplastics, which is ranked #1 in the world by Smartest Magazine for packaging solutions, is Tanya Hart. She's my partner and helps run the business portion of that. We have an input company for what I'm about to talk to you about for the opportunity zones. That's Green Growers Technology Alliance. My partner, Avi Cooper, is CEO of that company. The company we have today, for the time being, I've got a business attorney that's working with us, that's the CEO, his name is Derek Campbell. Relative to what we're talking about, what I really want to discuss today, we have something that targets opportunity zones that we're looking for a raise. We found the only way outside of packing it into cement to get value from coal fly ash using an accelerated oxygen leaching enhanced phytoremediation. We have a site now in Kentucky. We're looking for demonstration funding. All the technologies are patented, proven. It's a science convergence of technologies that we had. We're able to use the oxygen that I developed for the Green Growers Technology Alliance, which is right now probably the most powerful oxygen discovered for overall effects on the plant physiology and the plant anatomy. It doesn't selectively just affect the roots or the upper portions, it does all. It's a new scientific discovery. We've been using that in green growers in the cannabis space. And we were able to add it into the technologies that allowed us to really get full value out of converting coal fly ash, which right now is an airborne pollution. It typically is in opportunity zones because the populations there are, let's say, not as vocal about their protection. They're usually poor neighborhoods. So these sites, they're all over the United States. They've got all these OSHA carcinogens, and the only solution that they found so far is to call it clean cone and pretend it's not a problem and put it in concrete. So what we've done is we've got a convergence of technologies, which are first biochemical and chemical bleaching, which is proprietary. And then we follow up with an oxygen amplified phytoremediation. Then we convert that into extracting all the rare earth metals from the coal fly ash through both the biochemical and phytoremediation processes. And the bottom line is we're taking a $1 billion liability from a given site. We're able to grow about 1,000 plants per acre is the estimated convergence. And again, we've been in the cannabis space supporting cannabis growers, so we have a lot of internal knowledge about that process. And the bottom line for the investors coming into this, we're doing 1,000 plants per acre. We're shooting for high CBD plants. We're coming out to about $75 per plant of CBD, about $35 in metal yields, and about $9,513 in graphene oxide, which is going to be one of the primary products. And then we've got about $40 a ton for the coal fly ash. So the total yield per acre is about $9,623 of net profit. And we're able to use that and expand it to sites that are usually around 100 to 150 acres and create value. So in a way, we've discovered the next fracking, but it's a sustainable model. It depollutes a monopoly problem right now, uses a convergence of technology, and uses hemp, graphene oxide, and all the ability to extract metals and our expertise to convert it to high value. And there are 3,650 of these sites in the US right now with no real solution in addressing them prior to our technology.
Well, great. Yeah. And just a note to everyone, David studied bioremediation under one of the grandfathers of bioremediation for several years as well. So with the oxygen and with hemp and with taking a waste product, which is fly ash, and converting it into one of the most high value product additives is a lot of where I think hemp has a lot of benefits.
I just want to stress too that we'll be creating local economies from what was a $1 billion liability. So we'll be having everything from drivers right up to hiring every scientist from the local schools and universities. So we are, in fact, go ahead.
I want to talk to a minute about how hemp can play a role as not just an agricultural commodity, but also as a technology platform for community development.
So there was a very significant piece of work done at the University of Arkansas about a month ago. I think it deserves a Nobel Prize. This guy found a way to actually capture local Brownian motion and convert it to electricity. That means there's going to be a huge draw on moving forward graphene and graphene oxide products for electrical applications. But with this new innovation and with supercapacitors, they're sort of the future of electrifying the economy. And I've done quite a bit of graduate work in sustainability around the topic. So we understand the value of graphene oxide as an input. We're actually going to be putting together what looks like probably one of the larger graphene oxide production efforts, at least domestically here in the United States. And so it'll be one of the primary output. But at the same time, we're getting all the metals and non-metals out of the fly ash, making it a safe inert media. And at the same time, we're also using hemp CBD for its normal, traditional, medicinal, and other properties. We're also going to be able to take off-put product and do things like hemp concrete. But Titan Bioplastics has existing markets for a lot of the plastics and sustainable materials. This is a commercializing company. So we'll be able to take off-put products that we've got from this cold fly ash and plug them directly into existing commercial channels that we're developing now. So rather than just being a concept startup, we've actually have commercializable products that we can make money right out of the gates, hopefully this year.
Great. And yeah, I think one of my favorite things that you talk about, David, is how hemp can be an innovation platform for community development.
Correct. So there's an incubator concept.
And then we'll have to wrap up.
I spent about 10 years in an incubator. I had a polymer consulting service that would have never survived if I hadn't been in the incubator. I learned so much about setting them up. I came up with the first internship program at Farmingdale State University here in New York for the incubator. But in addition to that, I was then hired by the Hispanic Chamber of Long Island to set up an incubator. And so I designed systems ranging from how we recruited people to virtual currency inside the incubator. And I realized what a economic viable generator an incubator was for high-tech businesses, because it removes so much of the risk and really fosters collaboration and high economic efficiency. So I've worked with Stephen to come up with a model for a sort of hemp design incubator that would use it as a technology platform, the same way we use petroleum and other types of minerals and non-minerals as technology platforms to drive. Hemp is a sustainable material, it's a plant material, but it can come into places where rare earth metals and electronics use conductive materials. It's got some very unique properties, and that means you've got all steps of a value chain. You've got the agricultural portion, you've got the chemical processing, the validation, the technical. So you're creating jobs and you're creating job training on site to foster the local companies like this fly ash effort. And you're creating training, high quality training at all levels.
And while you can help improve the environment
that's right. You're getting rid of an environmental liability that right now is unsolvable. You're driving education in the technical realm locally as part of the incubator system. So you're creating sustainable education. You're elevating the GDP of the local communities tremendously. And you're having to incorporate both the environmental component, the economic component, the marketing, the educational, and you have to converge all that. But if you look at it as a whole picture, it's a sustainability powerhouse. Because we're replacing petroleum, which is in the gutter, with positive cash flow from a $1 billion liability.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you, David. This panel's wrapping up, and I think we see a plant-based future for the world, and I'm very grateful to have you all here today, and thanks, Brad and Investor Hot Seat, for having us.
Thank you.